Shai, Bahashem, Rakakadash. All praises be to the Most High, Yahweh, in the name of His Son, and our Lord and Savior, Yahweh Shai. Much respect and honor to the brothers that are doing the work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and freedom to do so, and pushing this gospel throughout the four corners of the earth. Salutations to the hopeful elect that are scattered abroad, and double honors and respect to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone. Coming back at you with another lesson entitled A Recipe for Chaos. So the global elites, international bankers' motto is order out of chaos. Most of you remember that after September 11 attacks, Afghanistan was used as a scapegoat to create a global terror narrative. And it was said that this global terror narrative had spread domestically. I'm going to show you. So this incident is being used to stir the pot of a global terror network that's affecting nations domestically. Let's go into this, and I will share this article. Former British commander cautions that the Taliban may get control over Pakistan's nuclear weapons. So let's go into this. Remember, they claim that Osama bin Laden, operating out of a cave in Afghanistan, planned the September 11, 2001 attacks on the World Trade Center. A damn man with a Motorola phone operating out of a cave. And this man was CIA trained. Anyway, let's go into the key point here. So it says, the Taliban's return in Afghanistan would embolden jihadists across the globe, and Afghanistan would become a safe haven for them, he contended, rubbishing Biden's claim that one of the main reasons for the American troop withdrawal was to counter China and Russia. Kemp argued that it will actually have the opposite effect. Now I find this very suspect. Afghanistan was used to start the global war on terror back in 2001. Now that argument and that case is being reopened and rebuilt. You have no idea how cunning and crafty Esau Edom is. Now this report comes at the same time. Let's read it. The Department of Homeland Security reported that there's a rising threat in anti-Vanessa people that's rising globally. Keep that in mind. And here domestically in America. So the Department of Homeland Security issued a new terror threat that's starting globally and trickling down domestically here in America. And this comes on the tail end of another report that terrorists are crossing the U.S.-Mexico border. See how all this comes together? So this is renewing the global war on terror. And it's starting where it left off, Afghanistan. So now the argument is that Afghanistan have opened the floodgates for global and domestic terror. So there are reports by the Department of Homeland Security of an emerging threat coming from those that are against government policy, particularly the juice, Maxine Waters. And there's another report that the Centers for Disease Control issued notification that green zones are operable. And these green zones have internment facilities, or what you would call prisons. And that these camps are really ready to go. Most of you are familiar with the riots that broke out in Los Angeles. And the anti-vaxxers are being accused as the culprit for starting the problem, and are also being blamed for this spread and the continuing lockdowns, the continuing crisis. So these anti-juicers are being used as a scapegoat, and at the same time are being tied to global and domestic terrorists. So this is coming on the tail end of the reports of terrorists or suspected terrorists crossing the U.S.-Mexico border. So this is the perfect recipe for chaos. Order out of chaos. So the situation, the situation in Afghanistan is boiling over, where the Taliban is seizing all major cities in Afghanistan. And as of Sunday, they occupy the border in Kabul. So as of today, the Taliban have full control of the country. So now this place is becoming a safe haven for so-called terrorists to operate. And these terrorists are being funded, trained, and organized out of Pakistan. And we know that Iran also is tied to supporting some of the foreign fighters in Afghanistan. Now China has come on board, helping to support the Taliban fighters. Russian embassies are still intact in Afghanistan. So this place can become a cesspool for terrorist activity, especially if they're moving, transporting, or establishing nuclear launch testing sites and facilities, or nuclear launch facilities and sites. So this is starting wars and rumors of wars, particularly against Iran, China, and Russia. And we know Pakistan is in the mix as well for grooming and training these Taliban fighters. But really, if you trace the money or follow the money, all roads go back to the international bankers. So what is going to be the key to undocumented, suspected terrorists crossing the U.S.-Mexico border? What's going to be the solution for anti-vaxxers? What's going to be the solution for an emergence or rise in domestic terrorists? All roads lead to the MOTB. That's going to be the solution to bring order out of chaos. Let's go to Luke 21. Not not going to make this long. Excuse me. Let me go to the book of Luke, chapter 21. The book of Luke, chapter 21, verse 10. And this is Yahushua speaking. Then said he unto them, nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. So this is what we're seeing. Iran, Russia, and China are all going to use Afghanistan as a launch base, a strategic land or a strategic midpoint between Southeast Asia and Europe, along with the Middle East. So this is going to become a strategic location for them to stage military troops, equipment, and training. Let's go back to this. Luke 21, verse 10. Then said he unto them, nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And great earthquake shall be in diverse places, and famine and pestilence, and fearful sights, and great signs shall there be from heaven. And we're seeing all these signs right now, particularly the chariot sightings. These earthquakes are not only natural earthquakes, but they're also missiles, rockets, and artillery that cause the ground to shake or tremble. So some of these earthquakes are man-made. That's why they're in diverse places. Let's go back. Let's go read it again. Luke 21, verse 11. And great earthquakes shall be in diverse places, and famine and pestilence, and fearful sights, and great signs shall there be from heaven. But before all these, they shall lay their hands on you and persecute you, delivering you up to the synagogue and into prison, being brought before kings and rulers for my name's sake. So I mentioned earlier that the CDC publicly announced the green zones that house internment facilities. These are prisons. Let's go into that word prison. They shall lay hands on you. That's being apprehended. Comes from the Greek.
Strong's G 5438. Fulake. Fulake.
A cage, prison, concretely guard, a place to keep watch, persons keeping watch, guards, kept in prison. So all these things are coming together. What things? Bible prophecy. Let's go back to that. Luke 21, verse 12. But before all these, they shall lay their hands on you and persecute you, delivering you up to the synagogue and into prison, being brought before kings and rulers for my name's sake. and it shall turn to you for a testimony. So these events and acts are nested with Bible prophecy. So those that are witnesses for this truth, which means martyrs, are going to be tried and tested. And some of the men of the Lord are even going to sacrifice their life for this truth. Luke 21, verse 14. Settle it therefore in your heart, not to meditate what ye shall answer, for I will give you a mouth and wisdom, which all your adversaries shall not be able to gainsay nor resist. And ye shall be betrayed both by parents and brethren, and kinsfolks and friends, and some of you shall they cause to be put to death. So you even have Israelite leaders that have been paid off, like Captain Tazariot and other false leaders, like Alizé. You're going to have friends and family members, your wife, your husband, your children. Why you think Joe Biden said, if you suspect a friend or a family member as a terrorist, report them. And these can be friends or family. He said, report them. So that is inside your inner circle. So they're pushing a global terrorist threat, which is tied domestically. And ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake. But there shall not a hair of your head perish. In your patience possess ye your soul. So this is where we are today, prepared for persecution, preparing to be afflicted. Some of us are going to be thrown into prison, FEMA camps, internment facilities. Let's close out with Revelations 2 and 10. So when it's talking about the devil, it's talking about evil E, the great deceiver, slanderer, or false accuser. That's Esau, Edom, that owned the green zones, internment facilities, and UN bases. The book of Revelations, chapter 2, verse 9. I know thy works, and tribulation, and poverty, but thou art rich. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews, and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. So some of us are going to be sacrificed, become an offering for this truth. Notice it says, I know those that say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. Why is that being used in the same context of these prisons? Who own these prisons? The Amalekites, Amalek. Those that say they are and are not. Who owns the CDC? The banks, the international banks. So this is a recipe for organized chaos. And the global elite's motto is order out of chaos, or in the Latin, ordo ab chaos. See? So they are stirring the pot on the left-hand side, which really they're being controlled by the Most High. By the Most High on the left-hand side. So things are heating up fast. And they have an off-the-shelf solution ready to go. Read Revelations 13, verse 16 through 19. Revelations 14, verse 8 and 9. Revelations 15, verse 1 and 2. Revelations 16, 1 and 2. And Revelations 20, verse 4. Hopefully this lesson has been edifying. All praises to Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai, B'Hashem Rekakadash. See you on the next lesson, Lord willing. Rakathab. Shalom.